He's like, for me, formidable. Hi, I'm Clara Mann. I'm at the Royal Albert Hall in the archives, living out my dreams. I'm going to be looking at some items that I've picked out. Some of the earliest memories that I have musically would have been from a book of Joan Baez songs that my mum had by the piano. And it's now quite an iconic cover. It's like a paperback A4 book of songs, collected folk songs, and some that she's written as well. And I think the first time I ever played like folk live was in the next door village town hall folk night on my electric keyboard, and I would have played a Joan Baez song. I played her arrangement of The Water is Wide. Here she is, playing her guitar, which is, I've been told, a Martin guitar. I've always felt that it was unfair that they had a boy's name, those guitars. So what I'm just seeing here is that she says at the end of the first page, I hate folk music and it's awful. I guess the other reason that I'm particularly drawn to the Joan Baez brochure today is I've spent the last year doing a run of Bob Dylan, Joan Baez kind of tribute nights, specifically relating to kind of the film coming out and the era of Bob Dylan and Joan Baez being so back. Actually, when I was initially contacted about the show, they were like, do you want to be Joan Baez for one night and one night only? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, but you can only sing Bob Dylan songs. I thought, it's funny how the patriarchy sort of moves like that, isn't it? I've always struggled with like Joan Baez's, the kind of like cult of personality around her and also around Dylan, because I think it becomes more about like the people and the relationship specifically between them than it does the music. And I think particularly for a woman and for Joan Baez, that actually was quite demeaning. But I think reading what she's writing, like she's so funny, and the way she's interviewed, she's so funny and clever that I understand the cult of personality thing more. I just think that maybe the lens that I would have grown up with and a lot of people would have grown up with is like through Dylan. I just released a folk cover of the song 500 Miles. And one of the first times I heard that song was, I watched a video of Joan Baez doing a spoof of it where she mimics the Peter, Paul and Mary version in a very dramatic voice. And I thought, that's very good, Joan. The version that I took the lyrics from to adapt like my own version of the song was by Hedy West, who's right here, Hedy West on topic. I think it's just so amazing to see the actual catalogue written down and think about whose peers were whose and how that scene just emerged in those years. I grew up in France, or spent a lot of my childhood in France, all my primary education. I think that the French kind of chansonnier tradition massively influenced me or affected me and stayed with me when I started writing songs. This is him. Hello, Charles. He's so French. I really like his kind of bilingual thing that he does for the formidable. I think that's very funny. Formidable means like fantastic, but also the first two syllables of that, for me. He's like, for me, formidable. There's a ad for some of his English recordings here, specifically his love songs, which are my favourite ones. When I was growing up, so many of these actually relate to stuff that I was interested in as a child, or maybe that my mum put in front of me rather than I dug out on my own. But we had this really, really falling apart company of like the biggest French hits of the 1960s. And so many of these songs are in there. We listened to a lot of classical music and church music. My mum taught piano, so it was a lot of piano and classical music. But because we were in France, I would have been exposed to a lot of French music. I mean, we listened to English music at home or like American music. For instance, the priest in our village used to like come around and play guitar, and he would play covers of Barbara songs, who was a contemporary of Charles Aznavour. Very strong memories of that, actually, very early musical memory. I remember he never wore socks, only sandals. I do think that I'm interested in the songwriting of these artists. I mean, the very like charismatic, characteristic voices that they have as well, big voices. I wouldn't say that now storytelling is something that matters to me specifically in my writing, that I like strive for, but I'm interested in it, and these are full of like images and they're so vivid, and when they're singing there's so much feeling. There's nothing kind of withheld or mysterious about these voices or the performances. They're real performers, which I guess makes it make sense that they will perform in a hall like this. I did some translations of two of my songs off the album Riff that I put out in the spring. I think it was the hardest thing I've ever done, actually, intellectually. And then I thought, this is really difficult. And although my French is pretty fluent, translating what's essentially like poems or lyrics is a very specific skill. And so I enlisted the help of a French friend of mine who is also a musician, and we did them together. We did it in like cafes. We would sit in the park and on my laptop. We would be on WhatsApp until 3 in the morning trying to work out specific translations. But I think growing up with an awareness of language like that, if you're between languages, you grow up bilingual, is not a bad thing to have if you are interested in going to the line of work that I continue to go into. Okay, the next item is one that I'm so unbelievably excited about that I can't really talk about it for very long before looking at it. I am a huge Sound of Music fan. I'm thinking that no one will be surprised by this. And when I discovered this in the archives, I was like, please let me touch it, please let me touch it. And it is the programme from when the Trapp Family singers came to perform at the Royal Albert Hall. The Trapp family in The Sound of Music are the Von Trapp family. They were a real family upon which The Sound of Music was based. Apparently in a short review of the show afterwards, it was said that they had a very kind of intimate presence, a very unpretentious presence, but the review said that they really got them on side, which is what I would like to do as well. After the intermission, so after they've done all like the serious music, the classical music, they go on to do 4 folk songs from the Austrian Alps called Hunting Song, Lullaby, Teasing Song and Evening Song, which is that is the perfect programme actually, songs called that. I am so moved by this. It's so amazing holding something like this and thinking about them and how much I love The Sound of Music as well. I chose something just a bit adjacent to this as well, which is this programme from the Variety Fair in 1952, because Julie Andrews performed in this, obviously star of the film of The Sound of Music, with one of the best voices in the whole world. And I was particularly affected by the fact that she performs a song with her mum on the piano, because that's what I used to do with my mum. And we probably would have sung songs from The Sound of Music because I had the book, okay? I think this is my favourite thing. And it makes me want to cry actually, because thinking of all these beautiful songs being sung here in such a quiet, unpretentious way, and people making space for them, and songs from so far away as well. Like, that's for me why I love folk music, is that songs travel and they take on different meanings depending what space they're occupying, emotionally or like physically in a physical performance space. Thank you so much for having me in the archive and for watching me. I've had the best time. I think it's really amazing to get to go like behind the scenes of a place like this, and I feel a lot of things about it, so thank you.